After 14 years, Eyedentity has finally returned to its roots, preparing to release the old version of Dragonist. The announcement has generated massive hype on their Facebook page, with overwhelming engagement from excited players who are eager to see the game's revival. But how long will that excitement last? While nostalgia is a powerful draw, sustaining player interest requires more than just bringing back an older version of the game. Its longevity will also depend on how well Eyedentity handles balance, updates, and monetization. Many players who left due to controversial changes may return, but if the same issues that plagued the original version, such as power creep, optimization problems, or pay-to-win mechanics resurface, the initial enthusiasm may disappear. Hi everyone, my name is Eric and I'm here to share my comprehensive suggestions and ideas for Eyedentity. Through this, I hope to provide insights that can help improve the overall gameplay experience and ensure long-term success for both the developers and the player base. But before we dive into the discussion, here's a quick disclaimer. Everything I say in this video is based on my thoughts and experiences. While I do my best to provide accurate and fair insights, my opinion isn't absolute and never will be. And I'm always open to different perspectives. So if you want my updated responses, join the Discord server, as I'm very serious about this matter. So let's keep the discussion going. I've been playing a lot of Korean MMORPGs and Dragonist is just one of them. And I think Eyedentity, the game developers, should know what kind of target market they'll be getting into their video game, since the players are the bloodline of the MMORPG genre. With that being said, let's proceed to the different classifications of what C players are like based on my observation. The first one, the whales. Pretty straightforward. They are the ones who put money inside the game. In return of donating, they are rewarded with game progress if the game is pay to win, or aesthetics, costumes, which are also known as game cosmetics. Next up, the dolphins. They are the low spenders in the game. They sometimes spend, but still rely on the game time spent for progression. Next one, the F2P, or also known as free-to-play. They play the game for progression and don't spend in the game. But this may change inevitably if they decide to pay. These are the type of players who can still be potential spenders. And there's another special type of player. Since in-game trading is allowed on Dragonist, which means real money trading is also inevitable. The businessmen. They are the players that have no intentions of spending in the game. They heavily depend on the game time spent and getting every resource in the game as much as they can get. They don't bother playing the game if there's no game trading feature. And they usually quit the game if the game resources have little to no value. They treat the game as if this is their livelihood. These players are usually catered to the players that are lazy enough to do game progression. So the C players are the whales, the dolphins, the F2Ps, and the businessmen. Eyedentity should value every player base. They are all equally important for making the game alive and none of them should be excluded. So moving on to my general suggestions for Eyedentity economy-wise. They should make the game pacing extremely slow. Consider giving more required resources for progression, such as more crafting materials and more required gold to successfully upgrade a gear. And considering there is an in-game trade function, Eyedentity should be requiring more of that. Making gear enhancements extremely hard will make the clear times for dungeons and nests longer, forcing players to spend more time playing the game and seizing the classic moment. Well, it's Dragonist Classic after all, right? Next up, giving more luck-based elements, or also known as RNG. I know a lot of people would side-eye on this, but hear me out. Giving a guaranteed probability would remove the essence of the game being fun. However, by adding an RNG element, there should be transparency in how probabilities are calculated and displayed to the user, ensuring fairness and preventing any misleading expectations. This is the reason why gacha games are popular, such as Genshin Impact and Pokemon TCG. Yup, until now, I enjoy these games, don't judge me. And the last one. Eyedentity should never let the user pay for game or gear progression. This creates an unfair advantage and undermines the integrity of the game. Costume stats should be removed, ensuring the cosmetics remain purely for visual customization rather than providing gameplay advantages. Instead, progression should be earned through skill, strategy, and dedication rather than being locked behind paywalls or predatory monetization schemes. A fair system ensures that all players, regardless of spending, have a rewarding experience based on effort rather than financial investment. Now moving on to PvE suggestions. You like PvE? I don't. Kidding aside, first and foremost, I really think that Eyedentity should remove all the warning markers to dungeons and nests. Players should learn enemy attack patterns, telegraphs, non-iframeable stomps that require a well-timed jump, and other mechanics through experience rather than relying on visual indicators. This would encourage skill-based gameplay, rewarding awareness and reaction time instead of simply following cues. By doing so, dungeons and nests would feel more immersive and challenging, pushing players to engage more deeply with the combat system where Dragoness shines. Additionally, this change would create a greater sense of achievement when successfully avoiding attacks or clearing difficult content without external assistance. Yup, just like every PC game should be. Next suggestion, Eyedentity should remove all time-based nests. Players are forced to complete content within strict time limits only adds unnecessary pressure and takes away from the enjoyment of the game. Instead of rewarding skill and strategy, it often favors players with higher gear, making progression feel more like a stat check rather than a test of mechanics and teamwork. Next up, Eyedentity should remove DPS bar mechanics for a complete wipeout. These mechanics create an imbalance where only damage-focused classes thrive, leaving support and utility roles feeling useless. They force players to focus solely on dealing damage as much as possible within a limited time frame. This is a role-playing game, right? Not just the DPS class and the DPS class that heals. And my last suggestion for PvE. Eyedentity should maintain the game by being simple. The game's core appeal has always been its fast-paced, skill-based combat and engaging dungeon mechanics. Overcomplicating system with excessive mechanics, unnecessary stat layers, or convoluted progression paths will only alienate both new and returning players. By keeping it simple, Dragoness will remain accessible and fun for both veterans and newcomers. And that wraps up my comprehensive suggestions for Eyedentity to improve Dragoness Classic, both economically and PvE wise. I hope these ideas spark discussion and provide valuable insights for making the game more enjoyable and sustainable. What do you think? Do you agree or have your own suggestions? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more of these in the future. Thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one.